Well, welcome everyone back to the Show of Requirement, a Harry Potter podcast. It's not exclusive in any way, shape, or form, but that is a thing that we used to say. It's inclusive on all of your devices and streaming. So welcome from Bandcamp or YouTube or Google. I'm just naming all of the ones that are less common. Do you guys listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts?
Spotify.
Just curiosity.
Apple Podcasts. That's what I use.
I'm an Apple podcaster myself, but apparently that's like, it's kind of like Spotify and Apple Music. Like people are way more Spotify.
Yeah. I use Spotify.
Yeah. I used to have both. But then I paid off my student loans, and so then I had to choose.
I wonder what that's
like. I went with... Yeah.
Ooh, it's a fake
Wait,
laugh,
you paid off or started paying on your student loans?
No, I paid off my student loans. They're paid for. I'm done.
I get what you're saying.
Finished,
after you finished paying, you were like, no, I need to choose.
After I finished paying. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Abby,
Thanks,
I am
like?
just now starting to pay again.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
So, yep, life goes on. Anyway, we are working our way through the chunky book that is the Order of the Phoenix. Just thoughts today, and I already started reading ahead a little bit. Man, if you just took out horrible Umbridge stuff, this book would be like 500 pages long.
Yeah. But
as you can see, if you're on YouTube, my tagline today is still enjoy small parts of Order of the Phoenix. I'm pretty sure next week might be hates Order of the Phoenix. But today is not quite that day. But we're talking about chapters 13 through chapter 18. So we're on the third episode. We're cooking. We're about halfway through the book. Won't ask what our halfway thoughts are, I guess. We'll work on that next week. Mm-hmm. But what did you guys think of this section? Just to preview our discussion today.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great section. I don't think I've ever been more upset reading a section of any book. I think the only, or at least angry.
Next week is worse.
Angry.
It is worse.
It probably will be worse.
So much worse.
Well,
I think the only the only book where I've been more emotional has been The Rising Storm in the High Republic era. That was a bonkers ending, but I was more sad than angry. This is probably one of the angriest I've ever been reading a book before. Just because of, injustice is the word for today. Injustice. Harry throws out that word a lot. We feel a lot.
Yeah. It's just we're lucky that we're doing 13 through 18. We're lucky that we're just sticking to our guns of this system we're using for going through the books, because all this anger, all of this dread, it all culminates and is all the annoyingness in one place, and that place is chapter 19. Just a preview. I know we're not talking about chapter 19 today, but I had to skip some segments of chapter 19 because I was livid. I was just like, I can't do it anymore. I'm skipping this page. Like, I know what happens here, but we're not there yet. And of course, the alternate title for this episode is Spencer is now moderately frustrated. And of course, I do have fun alternate chapter titles as well. Wouldn't be a Spencer hosted episode if it wasn't. So we're going to kick off with chapter 13, Detention with Dolores, aka Hermione is a total BA now. Not that she wasn't before, but we are now establishing it.
Yeah.
If I can ever find chapter 13, that would be awesome.
Yeah. I'm trying to look at. I read this like a few days ago, And by a few days ago, it was probably the day after we recorded our last episode. So maybe a week ago. So I'm trying to remember what happens in each chapter specifically.
I like Hermione. Well, this whole like argument scene with Hermione, Fred, and George is just awesome. That's enough. Yeah, you're right, said George. This dosage looks strong enough, doesn't it? But they try to mock Hermione, put us in detention, and then I'd like to see you try it voice. And Hermione drew herself up to her full height, which couldn't have been that high. You know, she couldn't be that tall. Her eyes were narrowed and her bushy hair seemed to crackle with electricity. No, she said, her voice quivering with anger, but I will write to your mother. You wouldn't. It's just like, and I'm happy to say this now, I guess. I'm a teacher now. That's my new job. And just as a teacher, just, you know, figuring out the button that needs to be pressed and just slamming it.
Right.
Is a really satisfying thing because I don't have many of those, you know. But Hermione's figured it out, which I just think is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I also was so low in his seat, his nose was roughly level with his knees.
This is also where we get the introduction to Hermione knitting hats for the house elves, and this is like her soapbox for this entire book is about Spew. And
it's like they couldn't have just let Spew go,
right? And so she's just continuing to make all these hats for these house elves, and she's like, well, they must want to be set free because they keep disappearing. Well, we'll talk more about that later.
But yeah, it's like, it's, you know, Abby, it's just the one thing that's missing from the movies to the reboot. If we just have Spew, everything will be so much better.
Oh, will it?
I don't know. If they do a full season or 2 seasons or whatever it is, like if they actually present this book in its entirety on screen, the actress, whoever plays Umbridge, is going to get death threats, I feel like. Because
she's a terrible character.
The movie one is horrible, but this is dreadfulness.
Yeah.
But
it's tough.
Anyway, Bowtruckles.
Oh, I love Bowtruckles.
It's just I forget every time that Nifflers are introduced. Hagrid introduces them in Goblet of Fire, and Bowtruckles are introduced here. All the love for Fantastic Beasts, but it makes me I forget that they're introduced in the original series. And they feel like new creatures. But I thought it was really clever of JK to use those again in a more, like, she pulled these creatures back instead of making entirely new creatures for Fantastic Beasts when she was writing it. But all the love for Ticket and Teddy. This just makes me want to rewatch Secrets of Dumbledore because they have so much play together in that one. It's very good. Rip Fantastic Beasts 4.
Yeah, we're definitely not going to talk about it.
Not today. Not right now. Not right now.
Not the time.
But I do want to rewatch it. Actually, I want to see how it holds up / doesn't hold up. It was kind of a mixed bag, but not as mixed of a bag as Crimson Grindelwald for me. Grubbly Blank is low-key great. Any arguments there?
I mean, there's nothing wrong that I feel.
I mean, everyone complains about her because she's not Hagrid, but she's pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome is a stretch. Let's just say she's serviceable. You know, she does her job, but she's like Bunty. There's nothing special about her. She's just plain vanilla. Like, nothing you love about her.
This episode.
I'm just saying, you know, there's just nothing special. Nothing there.
I think that's the point. But the thing is, she's a far better teacher than Hagrid is. If Hagrid could
Yes,
get over his
100%.
nervousness and everything, he would probably be equal.
Mhm.
He definitely has his good days, but then he does flobberworms for 3 months, and that's very depressing. And I
Yeah.
think that's something that I enjoy in the last 2 books is we don't have any Care of Magical Creatures lessons. And it's
Right.
not just because of Hagrid, it's because of how he's treated. Um, I stand by this. I would never put Slytherin and Gryffindor in a single classroom.
No, why
I
would they
agree.
do that?
Rest in
Why
peace,
would they
Mr.
put those
Absolutely.
Slytherin.
two together? It's the
Absolutely.
worst idea.
And I kind of just seeing how they interact, especially on the Quidditch field, I almost want to see how they are with Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
Because they hate each other so much, and Gryffindor's so self-righteous that they don't rise to their taunts, except when they just do direct violence or nothing. But I was like, are they this horrible to everybody? It doesn't seem like it. I mean, they make small jokes about Hufflepuff and stuff, but it doesn't seem like it's near the amount of horribleness. But yeah, Malfoy and Harry, that I would never schedule them in the same room.
No.
And as we've all said, Snape shouldn't be a teacher, which is not in this chapter, but
we'll get there too.
Yeah, but as far as like magizoologists / care of magical creatures teachers, Newt is the top. Kettleburn's a fun character that we've never been directly exposed to outside of Hogwarts Mystery. But he's fun. He's more fun than Grumbly Blank, at least. He's got the eye patch, and he's the Mad Eye Moody of care of magical creatures.
Fair.
But I wouldn't know. I'm the one that calls it Hogwarts Murder Mystery half the time.
Oh.
Semi on purpose at this point.
Let's talk about how bad Angelina Johnson is.
Oh.
Yeah.
She's terrible. She's the
Well,
worst Quidditch captain I've ever seen.
Well, I was first going to mention that Ernie Macmillan shows up for Hufflepuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Jim Dale's Ernie Macmillan voice, but it's very specific. But yeah, just noting, he doesn't commit all the time, as we'll see later, but I love that he makes a bold statement before really anyone else has, that not everyone thinks Harry's crazy.
Yep.
But yeah, Angelina's she's not a good captain, and she was a great character before. I just think the stress gets to her.
Yeah.
Somehow Wood, I don't know what Wood does differently. I think he's better tactics and organization skills. The behavior,
I think you're right.
The behavior is about the same.
No, I don't think. No, Angelina's just more
erratic,
mad.
Yeah,
she's more angry. Like Wood was just obsessed with winning, and at times he seemed to care more about that.
Are you telling me Wood wouldn't have been livid with Harry too, though?
No, he kind of. I think he was probably annoyed at some of the circumstances Harry found himself in, but we've never seen the kind of outburst that Angelina had with Harry with Wood. Like, if anything, Wood would be upset with the people who are affecting Harry's ability to be on the field, not Harry himself.
Yeah, Wood would have gotten himself detention too for trying to argue with Umbridge about.
Yeah,
Quidditch. And instead, he Angelina just kind of complained at Harry.
Yeah.
Man, she did not have nearly as good of a team to work with, though.
You know, no,
I don't know. I don't want to make a football reference here, but Nah, I'm not going to. I'm not gonna be able to land the plane here on this. I was trying to think like Oliver Wood had like the Tom Brady Patriots, and Angelina has the Patriots now.
Okay, so I think that
I don't
comparison
know enough about.
it still works. Maybe let me tweak it just a little bit. So
Yeah,
Oliver Wood had
that's what I
the
need. That's what I
had
need right now.
yeah.
I could fix it. I could
Oliver
make it
Wood
happen with
had
soccer, but NFL references, I'm lost.
right, but Oliver Wood had the New England Patriots with Tom Brady, with Rob Gronkowski, with um, Brandon Cooks on the team, and now Angelina has a team that still has Tom Brady, but no Gronk, no weapons. It's just Harry. Harry is the offense. Harry's the thing that makes it run. It's kind of like Tom Brady's last year in New England. That's kind of what this team is. They're just barely getting over the finish line.
Yeah, and the Chaser team is the same. I think it's still Angelina, Katie Bell, and Alicia Spinett. I think Angelina is too distracted to play
Angelina
Chaser
Johnson's
as well.
A liability. Yeah, she's a liability.
Well, she's not. Yeah, she's not. I love we're getting into the sports too much of this, but Angelina is too focused.
This is fun.
She can't differ. She's struggling to differentiate being a captain with being a player. She's not a good player coach. Oliver Wood is a good player coach. Harry would have been a perfect choice to do this if he wasn't in so much drama this book. He's great in the next book.
Imagine if Harry would have been the Quidditch captain at this point. Like, well,
it would have been a night.
It would have driven him crazy.
Well, he still would have gotten a lifetime ban and all that. Who is Quidditch captain after Harry? That's my Googling voice.
Hopefully, Ginny.
No, it doesn't.
Right?
What?
He said probably Ginny, right?
I was thinking, but I wanted to. Crap! They did not even. They don't distinguish who it is, but the general headcanon
says Ginny.
The general internet headcanon also is saying surely it's Ginny, right? Bell's older. Katie Bell is older. I think Alicia Spinett is also older. We don't know much about that 7th year of Hogwarts. We just know about the DA being reformed and Neville being the GOAT.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, anything else to note from this chapter?
Not from me.
No. I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to note, and this is transitioning us into the next chapter. When I was first reading this book, and I was like 13-ish, I was getting just as frustrated as I am now, but I wasn't able to control my emotions. But I just felt like this was the first of many chapters where it was like, Umbridge is bad. Umbridge is worse than you thought. Umbridge is worse still. Umbridge is the devil incarnate. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. But there's no way any of this should be legal, like cutting into people's hands and the way she treats half-breeds. And it makes me not enjoy Harry Potter, the Wizarding World as it is.
Yeah, I mean, she's one of those.
I guess you don't want a perfect world either.
Well, no, but I think this is probably the one area, because I mean, usually when you bring up criticisms like that, I like to be the person who's just like, come on, Spencer, like it's a fantasy world. But in this situation, especially, like
it is a fantasy world, though. You can make it better.
No. What I'm saying is that like, even though it is like, so basically what you said, even though it is a fantasy world, it still has to make sense. And there's just times, not just in this book, but I think even books going back to where you could, the decisions that JK made in terms of like Defense Against the Dark Arts, even the way that Snape runs his class and all that kind of stuff, those things from a reader's perspective, and even if you're someone in the universe, you're looking at Dumbledore with like a raised eyebrow. I mean, then you look at the Daily Prophet article that was gone through in this book that you read about, Umbridge now being the High Inquisitor. And I'm not sure if this is this chapter or not, but you look at that article and you're just like, if you really think about
15,
the hires that were made, those criticisms are fair. Like, you look at a Lucius Malfoy and you say, no, he's right. He's missed a lot recently. And so I think even with Umbridge, it kind of highlights this thing of just like, I get it. You want to portray Umbridge to be this really evil character, but there's just times to where it's a touch over the line, to where it takes you out of the moment and you're just like, I'm not vibing with this. I'm not enjoying this at all.
It's overkill. But chapter 14, which was not a long chapter, Percy and Padfoot, aka Ron, should have written back and told Percy to take a hike. I was just, it's just like last week where I was like, if Harry just took Veritaserum, it would have saved us a lot of trouble and time.
Yes. Also, the amount of times everyone was like, go and talk to Dumbledore. Go and talk to Dumbledore. And Harry's like, nah, I don't want to bother him.
Yeah.
Or McGonagall,
right,
about the detention methods that Umbridge uses. But yeah, Ron should have written back to Percy. Percy should not have gotten away with writing such a stupid thing. I did love that we've gotten to a point, and I think Angelina did this in the last chapter. They're talking and Peeves is just raising a ruckus in the room they're in, and they're all just like dodging all of his stuff. I like that just like the stairs and the disappearing step, like the Hogwarts students have developed like a Peeves sixth sense, where he's not even a nuisance anymore, but he's still written in anyway. He's not just non-existent. He's still around. But unless like it's the student is particularly frustrated, they just ignore Peeves, and it's great.
Yeah.
I just feel like we've moved up in the world. Sturgis is 38. 38 years old doesn't sound like a Sturgis to me, but I'm pretty sure the one in the movies was like 87 years old. 67. Not a big deal.
I also, in this chapter, I don't know, and I think it's because I know that Harry ends up with Ginny, that like anytime he has a scene with Cho, I'm just kind of like, yeah. Let's move on.
I'm still a sap. So pretty much all this stuff is good until the tea shop.
Yeah.
Then it's horrible.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Harry was like, it was a crush. Like, even in the next, whenever that kiss happens, Harry's still like, I don't even know if I still want to go out with her or not. Like, he had mixed feelings about it. So, rightfully so. We'll get there.
Ginny,
we'll get there, Abby.
So Cho is the girl that Harry thought he wanted. Ginny is the girl that he really wanted.
No.
He needed. I don't want to say need, but Abby said it, so I'm gonna let her run with that, and you can put it on her. So yeah.
Anyway, Harry's
no, I think he should have ended up with Hermione. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Out.
She said it.
If you're new to the podcast,
she said it,
or you haven't listened to all of our episodes, I did a tour de force, if you will, episode on Harry Potter is not a love triangle. Go listen to it. I don't remember what I said,
square,
but I think it was great. just two parallel love situations. I don't even know what I'm getting to. It's a rhombus, okay?
It's a rhombus.
I love Harry's letter to Sirius. It's very clever.
It was.
Yeah, it was great.
We've got a new Defense Against Dark Arts teacher, Professor Umbridge. She's nearly as nice as your mum.
Mm-hmm.
We're all missing our biggest friend. Oh, good I stuff. Noticed in the next section, Professor McGonagall like barks at Mrs. Norris and she just goes away. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's because she's a cat. Stupid realizations, but it's fine. Slytherin going to practice. Really? Really? Do we need this right now? No. There's just no justice for Slytherin in this book. Like nothing of I know we did that whole episode and we love Sierra and all that, but this is stupid. This has gotten out of hand.
What would be we need to start doing like spoof like videos like on TikTok and stuff, and we should bring Sierra in and be like a Slytherin spokesperson trying to do like a
damage
press
control
conference, damage control. She's like, because I think Sierra would just take off and run with it and do a good job. But yeah, you're absolutely right. In this book, especially, this is not Slytherin's best being put on display.
They don't have any best moments.
I guess
it's just RAB.
Yeah.
And Malfoy, I guess, in the next book.
Scorpius.
Well, that but that's not even in this series. That's a different thing.
Fair.
It's
that's
still
just damage control on the part of J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, just not. It makes sense, for what I've been saying about Slytherin. And don't peep the green shirt that I'm wearing right now. But this is just it's who they are. Unfortunately, in this time period, it's who they are. So it's on brand.
I love when Hermione cracks and helps them with their homework. Yeah, sweet.
Just feels bad for them.
This one,
rough practice.
I don't know if it's this one where Ron's like, if I ever say a mean thing to you ever again, she goes, I'll know you're back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was this one because I think it was after the letter from Percy that she helps him out.
Yeah.
To get his mind off of the letter.
Yes, it is. Thanks a million, Hermione, said Harry. And then, where is it? Ron says, Hermione, you're honestly the most wonderful person I've ever met. And if I'm ever rude to you again, I'll know you're back to normal. Hermione.
Sirius Black is great. This isn't. I liked his conversation later, but this is still good.
I honestly just feel so bad for Sirius throughout this whole book so far.
Yeah.
He just feels so cool and lonely. And he just
honestly, I would just, if I was Dumbledore, I would have used him as like a 007 on like suicide missions for the Order. But that's just me. I'm like, he's already screwed either way.
Yeah.
Might as well let him do some whatever. Burn down the Malfoy's home. He's already a criminal. But maybe that's too. Then we'd be no better than the bad guys. Chapter 15, Hogwarts High Inquisitor, aka yay, more annoying Umbridge stuff.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know, it has gotten a little out of control in terms of teaching at Hogwarts. But Trelawney is bad anyway. And Hagrid is good on a good day. So I don't know if Dumbledore's really failing. He's just had terrible luck with the jinxed job that is Defense Against the Dark Arts. So I don't know if you're completely in the right, David.
No, I'm right. Because Snape. I mean, Snape's
Yeah.
not the Defense Against the Dark Arts. He's potions. You have Trelawney, who is a bum
Yeah,
at
but
divination.
the High Inquisitor isn't there for Snape.
No, she doesn't have to be, though.
In fact, if they like Snape because he's probably so horrible to students,
or at least to Harry, and anyone who is in support.
Everyone but
Dumbledore.
Slytherin students.
Everyone but Slytherin. Sure.
Nasty too. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Harry finally did something in potions. Not that it will last.
No. Not until your boy Slughorn comes into town.
Yep. But I love Hermione standing up to Umbridge.
Yes.
Just some more little foreshadowings for Dumbledore's army later. But she's like, I read the whole book.
Mm-hmm.
And then Umbridge tries to test her, and I'm like, rookie move, Umbridge. Rookie move,
you don't
Dolores.
Know Hermione.
Don't test Hermione on an entire book. But Harry, David said this in text. Keep your mouth shut. For once.
Yeah. You already know that she's going to say
give
stuff.
You a week's detention every time.
And as soon as you open your mouth, you're going to get detention of some sort. And he just keeps doing it. He does it in this chapter. He does it in the next chapter, I think, as well.
Well, yeah.
Just end up frustrated that he keeps making the same mistake over and over and over again.
Yeah, because like I said, like when we're talking about, oh, he's angry all the time, and it's just like, yeah, I mean, I would be too, but you also, if it's like going back to the stove that's on after burning your hand, like it's just you don't learn your lesson, and everyone else around you, like Hermione and Ron, they're just like, Harry, stop, and he won't. So then McGonagall gets involved with all of this. Then you have Angela Johnson's also on you as well, and you keep making it worse for yourself. And so I think especially in this chapter, you see how Hermione disagrees with, and yes, she loses points, but she doesn't get detention, and she still gets her point across and all this kinds of stuff. But Harry he says one sentence and he goes way too aggressive, and then he's shocked by the results of it. Like, I don't know. I'm just frustrated with Harry at this point.
Yeah.
Harry has entered his snarky, sassy era. He just needs to have more self-control.
Yeah.
Yeah, Quirrell was great.
No.
It doesn't help that he's friends with Ron.
Yeah. But Ron is the king of one-liners.
And then
he also knows when to do it and when to say it.
We get a great scene with Umbridge inspecting McGonagall's class.
Love it.
My favorite part of the book so
far. You see, I do not generally permit people to talk when I am talking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
bang!
Or how can you expect me?
How can you expect
my job?
Yeah. So
how can you see what I can do if you won't shut up?
I also love when Ginny, and it's in the next chapter, which we'll use that as a transition in the Hog's Head.
But the end of this chapter was when they offered, or they talked with Harry about teaching Defense Against the Dark Arts to all the students.
I was just going to say I like when Ginny does the impression of Umbridge, and it freaks everybody out.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, I think this is a good scene. We actually get a long, drawn-out discussion about it, rather than the movie, which just like pans to Harry and then we move on.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It just, the movie just feels like a super, super shortened version of this entire thing.
Yeah. It's almost as if it takes out all the best minor details. and it's a summary. It's just a summary movie, is what it is.
It is. Yeah, it's like a spark notes of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've only got so much time to cover this book, and this book is big.
This is why they need to do a reboot of it. We need a TV series. Give it to Max. Let them do it. I'm putting it out there.
Just please do more episodes, but same season. I don't want to have 2 seasons for this one book and make it more confusing.
Yeah, give me 3 seasons. 3 seasons of this and 5 of Half-Blood Prince.
I think it's something to be said about Voldemort inside Harry affecting his mood.
Yeah.
I think Voldemort is actively trying to invade Harry's mind, and like that's part of why like Harry became aware that he was on his feet, though he couldn't remember standing up. Like he's going at it again for like the 6th time this book with Hermione and Ron.
That's right.
And yet Harry gets on to Hermione and Ron for going at it with each other.
Yeah, exactly. I love how Ron kind of takes Harry's side, but then when Harry says it's a good idea, Ron's like, I was with it from the start. But the Hogshead, aka a respite from Umbridge, it's a great chapter. I thought for a second, I was like, was the Hogshead bartender always Aberforth? And then I was like, oh wait, yeah, he was. They make a very small reference here saying that Harry couldn't figure out why the bartender looked familiar to him.
Yeah, that's a good one, yeah.
But why did he let the bar go so badly? Because it looked great in Secrets of Dumbledore.
You know,
because his son died.
Aurelius passing away really did him in.
Sad day.
I don't know. Yeah. It's so, the way it describes Hogshead is so disgusting of a place.
Yeah, I will say this though, and this is another mini David rant. Continuity matters to me so much. And it just doesn't make sense that Aberforth gets to this point, especially after seemingly making amends with Albus in the Secrets of Dumbledore, to where it should go along well from the conclusion of the Secrets of Dumbledore. Maybe something else happens in between that we just don't know about.
Yeah, they shouldn't even be talking at the beginning of Secrets of Dumbledore.
No, they shouldn't. And you have them going their separate ways, with Aberforth going with Aurelius, but thanking Dumbledore. And it's, again, they seem like they're on good terms, but then you turn around and then when you get to the Deathly Hallows, it's just like, yeah, it's his fault that Ariana died. Like, he really doesn't care. You really didn't know my brother. This, and I'm like, what? Like, and so this is where it's an issue for me.
I think
it's an issue
are
for
amicable. Me. I think they are more amicable than they let themselves on, because Dumbledore's, both of them are mysterious in their own ways. But Dumbledore, don't they go to the Hogshead in Half-Blood Prince?
I have no idea. I don't remember.
Oh, I don't even remember.
That might have been the Three Broomsticks.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it to me, it doesn't make sense looking at
that. But I think that's where Snape heard the prophecy, because that's where Dumbledore interviewed Trelawney, which means that, and Aberforth was in the original Order of the Phoenix. So they had to have been at least somewhat amicable. But I don't think at the end of Secrets of Dumbledore, like, I think it still makes sense enough.
I don't know.
But I think they were a little too
the way that he talks about they were buddy at the end of that movie. Like,
yeah,
to me, it's hard to go from how the relationship looked then, and then you go to Deathly Hallows, and he's just like, well, you never knew my brother. Like, my brother really didn't tell me. Like,
we don't know what happened.
Bitter. He sounds.
We don't know what
bitter.
happened in between point A and point B. Like, we didn't get the rest of that series.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering what could have happened that led to the Deathly Hallows being what it was.
R.I.P. Fantastic Beasts 4 and 5.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We don't know what happens after that. We don't know, because Aberforth clearly hated Grindelwald and his relationship with his brother. So that might be part of it too. But man, this is all great. I mean, the movie actually picked this up and tried to run forward with it pretty well.
Did fairly well.
Ginny throws more in with the conversation. We also get to avoid. I mean, Zachariah Smith is in the movie, but he's not as annoying.
Trash. He is trash.
But not nearly as trash as like the entire House of Slytherin. I'm just saying
he is. He's a Slytherin.
There's no argument to me. There's no argument to be made here for him. I'm just saying
I like Voldemort.
He's a one bad apple.
Zachariah Smith.
He's not a bad apple ruining the bunch for me.
He's the Mace Windu of the Harry Potter universe.
Is he really that much worse than Cho's friend, though?
Yeah, I think they get married.
Close his mouth.
That's my headcanon. They get married.
Goodness. I mean, someone had to bring it up, though, to Harry. I mean, Seamus didn't even show up.
Yeah, that made me sad. That hurts my heart. It hurts my heart.
He comes back. He comes back around.
Yes, he does come back, but it just hurts because Seamus was one of Harry's. He was not obviously his bestest friend in the whole world, but he was still like a really good friend. And he's not here right now, and you can feel his absence because you know that
Dean is there.
He was in the room, right? If he was in the room, he would have been one of Harry's strongest supporters. He would have been one of the most vocal supporters. But Neville steps up and takes that role to some extent, and that's incredible to see.
I'm trying to remember if Dean is there. I think he is. I know he was there in the movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, just wanted to happily reference Susan Bones. Just a fun little character and a callback to earlier in the book.
Loved it. Yes.
Making connections between her and Madame Bones at the Ministry of Magic. Love it. And I forget who Susan Bones is all the time. And I'm like, oh, she was a student with Harry at Hogwarts, not someone else. She always comes up on the Hufflepuff list. And here she is. Maybe, I see. I don't think Dean is there. Lee Jordan is. And Dean gets his lines in the movie. Not a big complaint. Lee Jordan is not really a character in the movie. Barely. Love Ron's reactions to Ginny dating Michael Corner. Just immediately, like, I knew something was up with that guy. I never liked him, actually. Shocker to nobody.
He ain't gonna last. That's my prediction.
He's not. And talking about Michael and Ginny, what about Cho and you? What do you mean? Said Harry quickly. It was as though boiling water was rising rapidly inside him. Well, said Hermione, smiling slightly, she just couldn't keep her eyes off you, couldn't she? And Harry had never before appreciated just how beautiful the village of Hogsmeade was.
So dumb. You said 11 out of 10 chapter ending? Really?
I love it. I'm a big fan.
No, absolutely not. Maybe negative 11 out of 10, maybe. I give it that.
It's funny because Harry's all nervous and he doesn't want to have this conversation.
So out of character. Hated it.
Yeah.
How is it out of character?
It's just Harry never talks like that. Like, oh, the grass is greener, the air is fresh. I don't know. That's not my Harry Potter.
That's not what it's saying.
That's not my Harry Potter.
That's not what.
Just bad. It's bad. It's not good.
You've entirely missed the point. He's not.
I'm a menace. I don't care. It's bad. It's terrible.
It's sarcastic because he doesn't want to make eye contact with Hermione because of what she said. He's saying, man, I just never appreciate, like, he's looking away from Hermione and like trying to focus on the village. He's not thinking about.
I'm with Abby. Anything that has to do with Cho Chang makes me cringe. It's awful. It's bad.
It's because he's embarrassed and he doesn't. He's.
I'm embarrassed of Harry too. Yeah, you're right.
Hermione.
I'm embarrassed of him. Golly, he's so.
You guys
awful.
are hopeless.
Golly,
you guys are frustrating me. It's funny because he doesn't want. There, I'm done. Done. We're moving on. Like, you guys missed the point. Okay. Chapter 17, Educational Decree number 24. It's all Abby's fault. Educational Decree
Hermione and Draco forever.
AKA crimes against owls should be punishable by death. I'm so travesty. Just so much horribleness. And that's I was almost crying real tears.
Yeah.
But laughing at the same time.
No.
He just hoots dolefully and jumps on Harry's shoulder. And then when he gives her to Grubbly Pank, the way she looks back, like, I can't believe you're abandoning me.
Mm-hmm.
Just like,
I want you to take care of me.
Just so much like personality. Edwig is the best.
It's the same look my son gave me this morning when I handed him off to somebody else and went to work. It's like, I can't believe you're leaving me.
See, that's the problem. Ida gives me that look usually because I'm not mom. I understand that. Some great foreshadowing about Neville for a chapter in the future because he goes crazy on
Malfoy.
Goes crazy on Malfoy for making a bad joke about crazy people in St. Mungo's.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not excited for much in this book. Like, Dumbledore's army stuff is great. Harry's first kiss, I'm a sap. I know you guys hate that side story with Cho, but I like 80% of it. Side characters getting more play, like Neville and Ernie and just Dumbledore's army people, Ginny, of course. But this time, reading the book, I'm particularly excited for when Firenze comes to start teaching, because it's just the biggest like screw you that Dumbledore could have thought of for Umbridge by hiring another half-breed to teach
Chef's Kiss,
the subject that she fired a teacher in. Just great. Sirius is the best. Just telling them not to do it from Molly, but then of course he's like 100% supportive. Do you think your father and I would have laid down and taken orders from an old hag like Umbridge? This year we know there's someone outside Hogwarts who'd like to kill us all, so I think learning to defend yourselves properly is a very good idea.
Okay, which of the movies was it where they changed how they did it with Sirius when he appears in the fire? In one of the movies, he appears and he's like in the logs, and his face is like part of the coals.
That's in Goblet of Fire. That's in the
Goblet of Fire. This one, he's
just a little face in the flame, right?
He's just CGI'd in. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. Okay. Which one do we like better?
This one.
I like this one better.
It's more loyal to the books.
It is more loyal to the books, and we get to see Sirius's flowing hair more and just his elegance.
Also, Goblet of Fire is just a weird fever dream, and that fits that whole movie.
Mm-hmm. It's a good point. Yeah, it fits the movie. I think both styles work for the movies.
Right.
That they're in.
He also only appears once in the movie,
which is again a travesty.
It just builds more. We just get more time with him, which is understandable. But they just kind of mix the two appearances into one. And Sirius kind of gets credit for creating Dumbledore's army because I mean it's Ginny and Sirius, but the name comes from that.
Mm-hmm.
Umbridge is the worst, but luckily we don't actually see Umbridge. We just have her hands and everybody makes a run for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Dumbledore's Army, Chapter 18. AKA Dobby is the absolute goat. I wish they used the Silencio charm on Malfoy in the next chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly Hermione could have done that. No one would have known.
I love that when Dobby appears in this chapter, he's got all of Hermione's little hats, like little hat after hat after hat after hat piled up on top of his head. Like, that's the best outcome that could have happened. I love it.
It's not a top thing from the book, but it's just something that I appreciate that the books do that the movies can't do. When Harry's trying to work on his homework and he starts falling asleep, like, it's just such a fun thing to read.
Right.
And he's reading about confusement and befuddlement drafts, and then he gets confused and then falls asleep. Good stuff. Also, it's cute that Dobby uses the room of requirement to take care of Winky.
I know.
That's really sweet.
Poor Winky really just has a bad go of it.
But man, the room of requirement is awesome. It's a really and it's been foreshadowed before. I don't know if it was always JK's plan to use it in such a big way. But Dumbledore is the one that mentions it in Sorcerer's Stone, even though he doesn't know, or at least he pretends not to know how to access it.
Just a cool room. And inspired the name of our podcast.
It did. Yeah. We should probably be more recognizant of that, but here we are. That's kind of like us. Our podcast is whatever kind of Harry Potter podcast people need it to be.
And it's awesome.
Snap, Spencer.
We're officially changing our name to the Come and Go podcast. Just kidding.
No. See, I was about to excuse you for all of your Chow Chang ending chapter 17 or 16. Like, I was about to forgive you, but then you said go on and say that, and we're back to where we started. Dang.
No. Man, it creates a cool room though for the DA.
It does.
It's very cool. Faux glass. Yeah. I like when Harry's like, I need a whistle, and then there's a whistle right there.
Asks about toilets.
Good. This is a good moment. What's our favorite room of requirement form that we've seen?
Oh, that's a good question.
I feel like I'd get too overwhelmed in the room with all the knickknacks.
Yeah.
I think it's this one, but the Christmas edition.
The Christmas edition.
Are we talking about like in all Harry Potter or just like in the books?
Oh, well, probably not Hogwarts Legacy.
Okay. Then yeah, I agree. Christmas. Yeah, I'd say Christmas one.
Yeah, well, 100%. Yeah, Dumbledore's just full of it, I guess, because of Secrets of Dumbledore. He knows what it is.
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of it before where there's still things about Hogwarts even Dumbledore doesn't understand or know. But that's Dumbledore. Yeah, it's probably this, but also the Dumbledore's Army room in Deathly Hallows is also cool.
That's true.
Yeah.
And Neville straight up lives in there. Yeah. The hammock room.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a fan of how they came up with the name, though, of Dumbledore's Army.
And the set. Oh, yeah. 100%.
The DA.
And how Ginny changes it to
Defense
Dumbledore's
Association.
Army. I was going to say the movie set also did a perfect job.
Which, I mean, the name kind of gives Dumbledore some trouble later. But
it does. It does a little bit. But,
it's a catchy name.
It's one of those things to where, I mean, they don't think they're going to get caught,
No.
it's just something that they're, and it, really, they were only ever
does
going to refer to it as
in
the
the
DA.
face of the ministry. Yeah,
It's a very teenager thing to do.
it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Something all three of us would have done. Talking about apartment names in college.
Yep, exactly.
All snark. All snark. But yeah, wonderful chapter. Harry, I mean, I'm not going to talk about the end of the chapter because David would get mad about Cho Chang. Man, this from earlier in the chapter. If I was Gryffindor captain, I would always practice in horrible weather just to avoid the Slytherins. But granted, I'm so mean, I would also show up to every Slytherin practice and boo the entire time. No malicious comments, just constant booing. But this is just a magnificent chapter. I mean, Harry teaching defense against the dark arts in his element, finding the room of requirement. Dobby gets a reappearance. There's really no notes, which is good because the next chapter is, I was so mad. I was having to skip sections. Like I said, I was just livid. But anyway, thank you for coming to my TED Talk today. A show of requirement co-host who likes this book more than me will be hosting next week. And by that, I mean Abby, David, or Cole. Right. Any other thoughts on today?
We've joked a lot today about the Harry and Chow relationship and how terrible it is. And if anybody likes it, there's some questions that Abby and I have for you. But this is a great opportunity for us to see how great Ginny really is in this book. And especially when we get to this back half of Order of the Phoenix, that starts to come out a little bit. So keep that in mind as you read along with us. It's going to be a long couple of episodes for Spencer.
Such a small fan base for the Cho Harry supporters. The fan base you need to worry about is the Hermione Harry shippers. That shouldn't.
What about the Dramini shippers?
And the Dramini shippers.
I've already given
Ginny shippers.
You're right. This is my attempt to convert people not to Judaism, but to Harry and Ginny stands. And that's our quest for the show that you require. And so we hope you would join us.
Why specifically Judaism?
I don't know.
It's the first thing that came to mind.
Like that's not even the denomination that you are.
No,
I know that. Yeah,
that's the funniest part.
Hey, but hey, I spent a lot of time in the Old Testament this morning preparing for Wednesday night.
That's just gonna be my new reference. Like every time I'm trying to use the word convert, not to Judaism, and then I'll just continue the conversation and see if anyone's like, "Are you Jewish?" No, I'm not.
No, I'm not Jewish at all.
That's not even a religion that does a lot
David's
of converting.
A closet Jew at a Baptist church.
Yep, correct.
Yeah,
on a Harry Potter podcast.
There you go.
It's a triple trifecta there.
Yep, triple threat.
Anyway, it's a triple threat.
All kinds of sacrileges.
So anyway, we'll have more complaining to do about Umbridge, and apparently Cho Chang is now another hated character of ours.
Not hated, just not liked.
Complain about that, but I'll complain about other things next week.
I've got no issue with Cho. I just don't necessarily want their relationship.
She's not fine. The one.
She's
not the one.
She's just another Bunty character.
It's a little high school love gone awry.
I think David
love to see it
more strongly about her character than I do.
I know.
I don't think
but
she's
we'll be back.
We'll
be back next week and see the reading guide on Insta if you need to. But just so you can hear it from us, next week is chapters 19 through 24.
So many chapters.
There's so many chapters in this book. 39 of them to be exact. But until next time,
I'm not 40.
Until next time, I must not tell lies. Mischief managed.